It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
Hello and welcome to Health in the Real World. We're here today with Neil Massett. Hey Neil, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I want to thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thanks
and just give you a chance to first introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what really drives you.
Okay. I've been a personal trainer since 2015, at the end of 2015. End of 2014, start of 2015. And I've been helping people lose weight in that time. But I think since then, it's kind of started to go like looking more towards like their wellness and trying to just change some lifestyle habits that they've got. And that obviously helps them to lose weight, but it also helps them to feel better, which I think obviously the two of them combined, it does help them quite a bit. It just helps their self-esteem and confidence and all that kind of stuff. So just trying to help people in different ways.
That's great. So do you find that a high percentage of your potential clients do want to lose weight, or is it more just kind of, hey, I want to be overall healthy?
Yeah, I think they do mostly want to lose weight to start with. And then I think a lot of it, they kind of don't feel comfortable. Some don't feel comfortable in their own skin, but they don't always admit it. So there could be things like I've had people that will come for a session and they're wearing all black, and then a few weeks later they might wear like a red top, and they'll say, "Oh, before I started this, I wouldn't have felt comfortable wearing red just because it makes them stand out a little bit." So that comes from sort of self-esteem and confidence issues and that kind of thing. But I think they do usually come to me to start with just because they want to lose weight. Yeah. And then you obviously get deeper into it with them. And then I wouldn't say that they've got mental health issues, but it's just what everyone kind of has in day-to-day life, where you don't always feel your best and maybe you feel a little bit low and you're kind of comparing yourself to others as well.
Yeah, there's definitely that judgment, that self-talk. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I was probably 20 pounds overweight. And there's definitely a lot of that self-talk. There's, less likely to maybe want to do things that you would do if you were fit. There's always, there's that, right? That mental self-talk. So I think that's definitely something that, kudos to you for noticing that, day one, they wore all black. And then a few weeks later, they're wearing red, and for you to kind of discuss that, because that's one of those things that, people may or may not think of that, but there are all these other things other than just what's on the scale, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'm like I said, I'm wearing red. I as you were talking, I didn't even think twice. I'm like, wow, it's interesting that maybe 20 years ago I wouldn't have worn red as easily as I would today because of that confidence. So that's good, noticing that, calling that out, and just putting that on the table.
Yeah, and it was kind of like when people first started, I remember someone was saying to me about they couldn't go into a shop where there was like more than 3 people and stuff like that, because obviously they didn't feel confident in themselves, and it just made them feel intimidated. And then I remember they said a couple of months later they went into like a supermarket and there was loads of people there and they felt great. And obviously for a lot of people that would be nothing, but to them that was massive. So it was a big achievement that they was able to achieve. And there's just little things like that, really. And everyone has their little milestones that they want to reach. And to some, they might feel really small, but to them, it's obviously huge, like the colour of the T-shirt that they're wearing and things like that. So it's not just about the physical weight loss. It's also about how they're feeling, but they obviously kind of linked together.
Right. Yeah, they definitely link together. And, I think it's really important to remember that, whether you're fit or not, but it's definitely something that we want to strive to kind of understand in our clients. And again, great for you for noticing that. I want to shift the spotlight over to you a little bit, Neil. Have you ever been in a position where you were maybe not as fit or as healthy as you wanted to be? I know a lot of trainers got their start because they themselves went through sort of a transformation. Do you have any kind of transformation story or anything like that that you
Yeah,
want to
there
talk
was
about?
well, I think I mentioned to you before that I was celiac, which is where you can't eat gluten, and it's I was kind of going up and down in weight. It wasn't a huge amount, but for me it was quite big because I've always been into like running and football, tennis, loads of sport. Always been on my feet, and then like, I think my weight went up to about just below 14 stone, which for me was quite a big because I've always been used to being kind of like 11 to 12. And then I noticed, I started to get kind of like knee pain, my ankles as well. And it was just because obviously my body wasn't used to that. And I had to change that. So I changed with what I was eating. So obviously I started to stop eating so many processed foods, and then I was going more towards the fresh sort of meals that I would cook from scratch kind of thing. And that's what I've tried to tell people or help them with themselves, because obviously it's easy to kind of get home from work and just put something in the microwave for 10 minutes, which it's not great nutritionally, but it's really quick and convenient. But I think it's just important to try and, even if you have to prep it a day before, just to kind of give yourself the best opportunity that you can. And it makes you feel great as well. Because when I was up on the sort of just below 14 stone, it does make you feel quite down, especially when you know a couple of years ago you was like a really good runner, you was doing quite well with football, playing tennis every weekend, and all of a sudden that becomes a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of reminds me of my struggle back again in my early 20s. I was about 20 and 30 pounds overweight. And prior to that, same thing. I was a
Mm.
runner, really accomplished runner, and played basketball, baseball, football. And yeah, there's something that happens to your psyche when you have been at that level where you're up and you consider yourself an athlete and then you gain some weight. I remember feeling definitely a lack of confidence probably in my own physical ability. So that was kind of how I got my start as well. I lost that weight. I got in good shape through hiring a trainer, and I realized that, hey, I can actually make a living doing this. And it was, again, my early 20s, and I was sort of in that transition trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And it made so much sense. And now at 40, I'm just so grateful that, at 40 years old, a lot of people are breaking down, but you and me as trainers, we kind of, we know little shortcuts, little tricks and secrets and stuff. And I think that goes a long way to both keeping the weight off, but also
Yeah.
preventing or slowing down the aging process, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the more that you work with clients, like as I say, when I first started, it was just literally I was going to try and help people lose weight. And then you obviously start noticing what they're saying about with the t-shirt and going into a shop full of people. And you realize a lot of it is down to the way they perceive themselves. So it's very easy to just sort of think it's all about like lifting weights or going for a run, because like when I first started going to the gym, I've never been into like weightlifting or getting like building muscle or anything like that. It's always been to be generally fit and just to feel better. And that's helped me
Mm-hmm.
to work with people, because a lot of people kind of like, if they're looking for a trainer, they maybe get a bit intimidated because they always think, oh, it's just about getting big and I'm not going to fit into the gym. So I've always prided myself on being non-intimidating. I'm always approachable, so they know that they can message me or call me at any time if they've got any problems. Some of them do, like I'll speak to them pretty much every day, and then some of them you don't see till the next session. But I think the sessions aren't even 1% of their week, so it's really important that they know that they can contact you and just have a conversation or ask you a question if they need to.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You know, the saying that you can actually out eat your workout, right? Like you could give somebody even 5 really intense workouts a week, and if they go home and they're just eating peanut butter and lard and pizza, yeah, that's not going to work too well, right? In fact,
No.
when I was overweight, I was in pretty good shape. I was playing basketball for 2 hours every day. The thing was, I was eating an entire large pizza and drinking a 6-pack of beer for dinner.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's right on where you're saying, I'm open. You guys can text me, you can communicate with me, all day long. And I think that really gets people feeling like, oh yeah, cool, Neil's in my corner. This is great.
Yeah, of course. And I think when you're exercising, obviously it does make you feel better, but I think what they say is it's 80% nutrition, 20% exercise. So physically, it's going to do better for you to eat well, but it also helps you mentally, which is what I obviously try and let them know. And they obviously have days where they don't eat well, they have weeks, but everyone's like that. Like I could go a week where I don't eat very well, and then it's just about trying to get back on track. So I think it's important to set goals, specific goals, and just to try and remind them of that. So say like they've said, I want to lose a stone by my holiday in July, then you could obviously just take them back to that if they've maybe put a little bit of weight on. But I don't like to get them to fixate on I don't like them to fixate on the scales, because obviously it's not all about that, and they feel it in their clothes and that kind of thing. So it's just important to look at different aspects of their well-being rather than just what it says on the scales.
Right, absolutely. And I think you touched on this already, right? If you are that much overweight, it's just kind of a symptom of something else that's happening. So like you mentioned, everyone really knows how to get fit, right? Go to the gym, do a workout every day, maybe do some variety between weights, cardio, maybe have some fun, play some basketball, stuff like that. It's just a matter of doing it, right?
Yeah,
So I agree that if somebody's not doing it, there's something going on mentally too. Maybe a confidence issue, maybe they're injured, maybe their knees hurt, like you were talking about, and they're not quite sure what to do. Because when I was in high school or college, I used to be a runner, and now I'm 40 pounds overweight, and when I try to run, my knees hurt and I don't know what else to do. So there's all kinds of considerations and different directions we can go with the client, different ways of encouraging somebody or creating a custom plan that really works for them and their schedule.
yeah, definitely. And you don't necessarily even have to work out. I mean, for people that are just beginning, to obviously start a journey to try and feel better, you can just, like I always say, try and get people to start going for a walk every day, and then just making little changes like taking the stairs rather than taking the elevator, and those kind of things, or park further away from a shop. So just little things that you can do, because especially now, I'm not sure what it's like over there, but here we're in a lockdown, so a lot of people are working from home, so they're kind of getting up, sitting down at their desk on the laptop all day till like 5 o'clock.
Right.
And then they're coming off the laptop and then sitting on the sofa watching Netflix till they go back to bed. So there's not a lot of movement.
Right,
and if they
right.
can get up kind of like every 15-20 minutes, and just kind of do a lap of the house or get a drink or something like that, that will make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's one thing about just fitness in general is really you need to get a really good idea of where you are now. Because somebody like that, who's, like you said, they're working 8 to 10 hours a day sitting, and then they just watch Netflix. Somebody like that, an improvement from there is just, hey, just go on a 10-minute walk. Like it really does not have to be complicated. Once you get used to that 10-minute walk, then maybe start adding a little bit of time. Maybe after you're up to 30 minutes, okay, maybe now we start thinking about, I don't know, doing some higher intensity, or maybe lifting weights once or twice a week. But I think that's one thing I really like hammering home. It seems like, Neil, you're on the same page as me as far as, keeping it basic and doable for people. That I really think it's just 2 steps, right? You just find out, where am I now? And now let's just take 1 step from there. And then, okay, I'm here now. And now we're just going to take 1 step from there. And I think a lot of people get into trouble when they look on, I don't know, Instagram or something, and they see what the professional or the semi-pro bodybuilder is doing, and they try to replicate that program right away. And it's just a recipe for injury or soreness, and just not fun, right? It's just not fun.
Yeah, to be honest, I think Instagram is has really made people struggle, because it's so easy to look at like fitness model. That's all you see really. If you go onto the homepage, it's just people with six packs and stuff, and obviously people just think, oh, I need to look like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't feel comfortable. And obviously, that's not. You don't need to look like that. No one does. But I always kind of compare themselves to it. So that is a problem. And that's obviously a mental side of it as well. So if you can just get moving a little bit, just to start off with, go for a walk, like I said, and then just set a target that you want to get to, set some specific goals. And then hopefully, if you start off with a bit of exercise, trying to sort out what you're eating as well, drink enough water, then you should be good.
Right, exactly. Health first, and then everything else kind of follows from there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Neil, we're coming up close to the end of the podcast. I want to give you a chance to give kind of a motivational speech. So let's say you were hired to give a motivational speech to maybe some high schoolers or college students or young adults. What's kind of your more of a big picture? So not so much health and fitness specifically, but more big picture. What kind of message would you tell people as far as a motivational talk?
Well, I think whatever you want to do, set a target to where you want to get to. Start slowly. Don't compare yourself to others. Just take it at your own pace. Obviously, you're going to make mistakes, but you've got to try and overcome it as best you can. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, whether it takes you 10 years or 50 years to get to where you want to be. As long as you get there, it's a massive achievement, and just don't give up. So just keep trying. And then obviously when you get there, and each milestone that you break, you're going to feel great in whatever it is. And then eventually you will get there.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for that. Neil, how can people get in touch with you? Website, social media?
Yeah, the best place is probably my Facebook page, which is just Neil Massett PT.
Sounds good. All right, Neil Massett, thank you so much for joining us today on Health in the Real World.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.